Morning, everybody, and welcome into the 615 Prep Scoreboard, powered by Fifth Gear Technology Concepts. Chris Brooks along with you on this Saturday morning, a gorgeous Saturday morning, awesome, and college football week 1 coming up here in just a little bit. So for everybody that celebrates, happy true opening day of college football. Let's bring the guys in. Joe, Cam, Scott, good morning, everybody. How y'all doing?
Good morning.
Good morning. Got the coffee. I'm doing.
Yeah. Cam, I think you're muted.
Got some college football today, guys.
There
so
he
I'm
is.
doing all right.
There he is.
And
since we know everybody's raring to go for college football, we're not going to take too much time and beat around the bush. Let's get into some highlights. We'll start from Thursday night. Scott, you were over at Easel, Harding, and Glencliff, and we'll let you handle these highlights.
Well, started off good for Glencliff. That was Eric Thompson, Emmanuel Kenewa. Here you have Noah Wilson ties it up 6-6, and it stayed that way a pretty good amount of time. Glencliff just started kind of having trouble with their defense and with some problems. There's a field goal by Ryder Carver that finally put Easel up in the lead 9-6. I did miss a Kion Robinson punt return. I apologize for that, but we made it up later with a Kai Robinson run. This gave them a 22-16 lead. Never really out of doubt.
Punt return that kind of put you guys up 2 scores, and then the clincher there with that long run. I mean, you guys are on a 2-game win streak. What does that mean for you right now?
We just got back in the 11-man. And all we want to do is win. We're hungry. Our program's hungry. We want to tick. That's it. That's our slogan. We want to tick. We want more. That's our slogan this year. So we want to continue this on.
Now, going into this season, like you said, you're coming out of 8-man football. What was the goals that you guys set this year?
Just be better than we were last year. Simple. That's it. Just be better.
Now, what is a win like this? What do you guys got to do to keep this train rolling?
Have a good next practice. We have Cornersville. They're a good team next week. We're just gonna keep it moving.
Outstanding. I remember you guys out there sweating on first day of practice. You guys, you come a long way in a short time.
Yes, sir.
Well, congratulations on your win, and go enjoy it.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Second half was the whole story. You get down early.
Yep.
And then you come back, you get that one run and tied up. What'd you tell your guys at the half?
Biggest thing was I told them, and it's our half. We know we made some mistakes. We started off slow, and they had a lot of motivation. The kids Let's go, Coach! The kids are hungry. They knew that they could compete at a high level. We fixed our mistakes. I told them, we fixed our mistakes. We played the level we came. We're going to win this game. We were doing a good job stopping them on defense. At the half, they had 50 yards of total offense. And I told them, I was like, I want to keep it that way the entire game. So they took that challenge and they battled.
Yeah, I noticed that several times you were saying they don't get 100. They don't get 100.
Yep.
That was your goal coming out of the half defensively.
Yes, that was our goal, because the biggest thing is we've seen the last 3 games we played a really good first half. We'll focus on finishing in the second half, because we know we got the talent. We got guys that can play ball. We just got to have that second win. We got to battle. And I thought the last 2 weeks we have, and tonight it shows that our defense battled.
Now, when you came out at the halftime, it looked like you went to a passing game, quick slants, got your offense going, and then it opened up some things. Was that something that you guys talked about at halftime?
Yes, I mean, that's something we talked to half. We saw how they were playing us and how aggressive they were being in the run game. And lucky for us, when we got guys that have some talent and some speed, that we had to figure out what to be next for us. And, we have this slogan, like, every week we do something different. This week is being committed. And last week it was discipline. So it's talking about being committed to discipline. So when guys have to step up and do their part, they still have to be disciplined in their job, and they did a great job doing it in the second half. So it was really good to see our guys step up and do some good things.
And defensively, it looked like you matched up with their receivers really well, and your guys did a good job of getting pressure on number 4 there.
Yeah.
Was that something going into the game that you knew you could do?
Yeah, so we knew from a cover standpoint, and I think anybody we play against, I feel like we can cover because we got some really good skilled kids that work hard and they play hard. And we know we got good linemen. And again, it goes back to us. If we can do it 4 quarters, we can create pressure, create havoc because we're good up front. We got some good pass rushers, and we knew if we could get 4 in a scramble mode, we're going to be okay. The biggest thing we got to work on is when he does get scrambled, stay in our coverage because he caught us a couple times doing that.
You got on a 2-game win streak.
Yep.
You got, how has it been like taking this team from 8-man football and then building this program? It seems like, I know it's got to be a difficult transition.
Yep. I mean, it's going to be difficult just taking over any program regardless, but definitely going from an 8-man to 11-man, you're changing the culture, you're changing the mentality. Because, again, TWA football is really good football at every level. So it's getting our guys used to that type of punishment, that type of hitting, that type of just 4 quarters of just brutal gameplay. And as the guys, they're taking it on full head. I mean, a lot of steam, and they're just grinding. I know a lot of guys say they want to win, and they've been putting in the work to win. And, again, like we have practices like everybody does, so they're not good because they're trying to still adjust to it. But, what we're doing this year is – we have this slogan across our whole athletic program, and it's called Built on Bell Road. And we're building a different type of foundation, a different thing within our athletic program. And that's what we're trying to do right now is just build that solid program and say, hey, on Bell Road, we're getting things done. We're going to work hard.
Well, Coach, congratulations. Big win. You guys got the momentum now.
Yes, sir.
Just got to keep it going.
Yes, sir, we do. Appreciate you, man.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Big win for Easel Harding, 22-6.
Yeah, I tell you, Coach Stewart's building something special out there on Bell Road. He really is. Those kids played very well. And Glencliff, like you said early, they were dominating defensively. It just turned into, it was second half adjustments there that where I think they got it, and then Glencliff got a little frustrated there at the end, and just. Problems that they can fix. Coach Stevenson's got a good program going over there. It's just growing pains.
Yeah, real quickly, there's some issues with this show appearing on Twitter this morning. So I know nobody's able to see it on Twitter. So if you know somebody who is, tell them to go to our YouTube channel or Facebook, and you can watch it there live as we move on. So let's keep on rolling with those Thursday scores. And Antioch, we told you about Antioch the last couple of weeks that they might be ready to knock somebody off. Well, they went up and did it against Cane Ridge, 18-15. The Bears break a long losing streak and do it in region play too.
Yeah, massive win for the Bears. First win since I believe 2020. They get the job done. Turnovers, it looked like, did Cane Ridge in again, like it did week 1 against Mount Juliet. They got to figure something out. I mean, they've kind of fallen off since that second half comeback against Mount Juliet. Not sure what's going on there, but still, great win for Cane Ridge or Antioch. Sorry. Yeah, this tends to happen from time to time when a coach like Eddie Woods is dealing with a lot of youth and a lot of turnover in his program. But I definitely think that Coach Woods can get this corrected. But what a huge win for Antioch, and they're a team that, we've talked about the first 3 weeks. Hey, they got some talent, guys. Like you can't sleep on Antioch, and they definitely proved that this week.
Congratulations to Devin Arnold on his first win.
I was going to say, and that's 2, if I'm not mistaken, that's 2 Lipscomb Academy coaching alumni, right, that had big wins this week, in Devin Arnold and Corey Stewart.
Yep. And we just nailed them back to back. So there you go. East Nashville on Thursday, 40-0 winners at Overton, and the Eagles now 3-0 as the nomadic season continues for them. They're at Maplewood next week, while Overton drops to 0-3 with the loss. They're headed to McGavick in week 4. Nolensville, no problem with McGavick, 40-8 on Thursday. The Knights also 3-0. Even after losing all that talent last year, they're coming back with a strong start. McGavick now falls to 1-2. It's Nolensville at home against Glencliff next week. McGavick will be at home against Overton. Maplewood falls to Spring Hill 41-14. Spring Hill gets its first win of the year. Maplewood drops to 0-3. Stratford, actually, that score is wrong. That James Lawson won that game. So apologies for the mix up on the scores there. James Lawson is now 3-0. And they will host Centennial next week. Stratford falls to 1-2. They've got Liberty Creek at home.
49-34, I believe the score of that one.
Thank you, Cam. That's right. On to Friday scores. Riverdale holds on against Beach 16-14 in a very tight game there in Murfreesboro. Warriors 2-1, and they hand Beach their first back-to-back losses since 2014.
Kickers are people too, man.
Yeah.
Riverdale gets a win thanks to his kicker. Hit a lot of big field goals. A great defensive game for teams with a lot of offense on both sides. They both show that their defenses can stand out too. So it's a huge win for the Warriors to bounce back after last week's narrow loss to Henry County. Beach is going to be just fine. They've lost to two really good 6A teams so far.
Yep, 3 field goals for the Warriors leads the way in this one. Beach was able to take a lead 14-10. Riverdale with 2 field goals early in the fourth quarter to take a 16-14 lead, and that defense was good enough to hold up.
Next week, the Bucks are back at home against Portland. Hopefully, they will have their stadium ready to go by then. Riverdale is on the road heading west to Germantown.
Things don't get easier for Riverdale.
No, they do not. No, they do not. Another one of those surprising scores from last night. BGA 38, Nashville Christian 21. And the Eagles fall to 0-3 heading into their off week next week. BGA 2-1. They travel to Davidson Academy next week.
Probably the biggest surprise of the season is Nashville Christian, right, guys? I mean, 0-3 to start the year. I know they played a couple of really tough teams to open the year, but losing to BGA last night, I mean, we all picked Nashville Christian in that game. So kind of shocking, this one.
Yep.
Yeah, but man, what a coincidence, really, that their open date is this coming up week, and I think Jeff Brothers can really get that team motivated and headed back in the right direction. So I think that's at a perfect time for them. And what about this BGA team? I mean, a team that has been down over the last couple of years. I talked about in the previous show which one of the BGA Good Pasture teams is going to step up and start heading back in the right direction. And BGA certainly looks to be that team. Big game next week out on the road at DA.
Next up, we head to Hendersonville with Brentwood coming in there to take on the Commandos. Joe, and you and Scott were out there, so I want you to take it.
Yeah, this game started off with a couple of punts between the two teams. Then Brentwood just got going. Defense got a big turnover. This beautiful ball from Baylor Hayes to Matthew Manning in the court right there to get him in the end zone. Believe Devin, they score another rushing touchdown here. I mean, this line was just getting a push all night, just making it look easy. I think we'll have the double pass here. Baylor Hayes to Clayton Merrill to Matthew Manning. I mean, you couldn't execute it any better than that. I mean, just wide open. Great pass from Clayton Merrill. He had a big night. He'll score a receiving touchdown here shortly. But yeah, just a dominant performance from the Bruins, who really did not have a letdown after last week's big game against Brentwood Academy. Defensively, I mean, this kind of sealed it. When your backups are in and they're getting blocks and doing all that, I mean, just Brentwood couldn't have asked for a better game.
Yeah, I agree with you.
In dominating fashion. What was it about tonight that just kind of you guys got up early? I mean, what was it about the offense that had you guys really clicking?
We just got to keep our heads straight. That's really all it is. Our defense stepped up. The quarterback, their defense is pretty good. They're very violent. We had to stick together. That's pretty much it. Like in the locker room, it was a close game, so we just had to step up.
No, last week obviously dramatic win over Brentwood Academy. Tonight more comfortable. What is this team capable of as you guys continue on throughout the season?
I think we're capable of a lot more than people think we are. So, I mean, it's one game at a time. That's really all we can do.
Got a heck of a new quarterback with Baylor Hayes. What's it been like catching passes from him?
Oh, he's ridiculous. It's awesome to have someone slinging in right there. It's on and off the field. We do a lot of stuff off the field that just makes our connection a lot better.
Congratulations, man. Good luck on the rest of the season. First off, homecoming proposal. Did she say yes?
She said yes. Yeah, we're good.
So you got 2 wins tonight.
Absolutely. 2-0.
You guys have been on a roll here. I mean, last week the dramatics with Brentwood Academy. Tonight you just kind of cruise. What's it been like playing with this team for the first couple weeks now?
It's been awesome. It's a brotherhood. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a first stringer, second stringer, third stringer. Everybody comes out focused. Everybody hustles the drills. No matter what, our scout team guys, I give a big props to them. They come to practice every day in work, and they help us, and it shows on the field.
it's just a big family. It's helping us on the field.
You got some great targets with Clayton and Matthew, man. I mean, just what's it been like throwing to those guys? Both of them had big nights tonight.
Yeah. We've been throwing since I moved here. I got their Snapchats right when I moved here. We were on the field automatically. And I mean, obviously we had Matt out early last week, but he came back and he was incredible, and so was Clay, especially in the return game and down in the red zone. They're both extremely good targets to have. And shout out to Chuck, number 42, as a tight end. He had a big game as well. And it's going to be a fun year. We just got to keep it rolling.
This is a Hendersonville team that's put up a ton of points through the first 2 weeks. Your defense holds them to 6 points.
Yeah.
How much easier does that make your job?
So much easier. In my opinion, an offense is anything without their defense. Puts us in such good spots, field position-wise. They got down into the red zone, I believe, once or twice, and they stopped them. And that's just so much. It's a boost of bravado for our whole team. And knowing that I have a defense to lay back on, if we go 4 and out, I can trust them, and I can come out and score points with my offense. It's great.
Congratulations, man. Good luck going forward.
43-6. A big win for Brentwood, and we have them at the top of our large class rankings, and they're pretty much solidified there for at least another week.
Yeah, they're not going nowhere.
No, you listen to Baylor Hayes. You listen to the players on the team. Baylor talking about the scout team. Baylor talking about his tight ends. Baylor talking about his defense. This is, as together a team and a together a culture that I've seen. It really was a complete team performance, and Coach Finch has built something pretty awesome out there in Brentwood. And this team, I wouldn't want to face them.
No. Yeah, two quick things. That interview with Baylor, we talk about maturity with quarterbacks. We talk about leadership. Man, he sounded like a head football coach during that interview. I mean, literally made sure to give everybody their due props. And it was more, he always, the questions he was deflecting off of himself. And you like to see that from a quarterback position. And then, man, what about that hair? That hair was on fleek right there.
I don't think I've ever heard you say on fleek ever, Cam. But yeah.
Now they're about as complete a team as you'll find right now. I mean, clicking through the first 3 weeks, we'll talk Wednesday. They got a big game coming up for homecoming this week against Henry County, but I wouldn't want to play them. They got all the pieces, and it's everyone. It's not just one player.
Yep. Hendersonville's going to have to bounce back. They're traveling on the road to Hunters Lane next week.
It's actually at Hendersonville. They announced that last night.
Okay, so they've swapped locations for that one. Mm-hmm. All right, moving on. Cheatham County, a 14-6 winner over Cannon County, and the Cubs get in the win column for the first time this year. Cannon County falls to 1-2. They're on the road to Forest next week. Cheatham County travels to White House Heritage. Another overtime game for Independence. This one did not end the way they wanted, however, as the Eagles cough up a lead to Centennial and lose 29-23 in the extra session.
Yeah, they were kind of on the other end this week. Last week, they were down 17-0 to Page and came back and won the game. This week, they were up 16-2 over Centennial. I know that's a weird one, 16-2, but Centennial was able to come back mostly in part of Dominic Reed. I mean, the man was doing it all on offense and defense at the end of the fourth quarter to push this thing into OT, and he walks it off after a interception by Cody Williamson on Independence's possession. First play, Dominic Reed winds up in the Wildcat and walks it off, and Centennial is 3-0 under new coach Jamal Stewart.
Is he the early favorite for 5A Mr. Football with the way he's played these first 3 weeks? I mean, man, the kid does it all for Centennial. I mean, Jamal's got a heck of a player to lean on there, and that's a huge win for Centennial. I mean, against Independence, they really bounced back last week. I think Independence is kind of on an upswing right now. Got to give the Eagles credit. They beat Page last week. Last night they really come close to beating Centennial. I think Independence on the upswing, but what a win for Centennial.
Yeah, I think that this is a well-deserved win and probably a pretty good win for Centennial in the fact that they had to learn how to come back and stay together. And Jamal Stewart, I mean, I'm sure he'd love to be able to blow everybody out, but these are the kind of wins that a team puts together to come out on top. Independence did it last week, Centennial this week, but I tell you what, I've been impressed with these Independence Eagles.
Yep. Centennial will get its first taste of region play next week as they travel out to James Lawson. Independence will do so as well as they tackle Franklin. Brentwood Academy gets back on the right track. Their first win of the year, 37-7 over Christian Brothers, as the Eagles dive into the win column and send Christian Brothers their first loss of the year.
Big night for George McIntyre with Josh Heupel in attendance. That's what Brentwood Academy needed. A couple of close losses to open the year. They needed this sort of momentum, and I think it's only going to carry them forward.
Clarksville all over Kenwood in the region game, 41-14. The Wildcats 3-0 and looking impressive so far through 3 weeks. Kenwood drops to 0-3 on the season with that loss.
Clarksville has a very, very good opportunity to go 10-0 in the regular season. I mean, they're clicking right now, guys. I mean, in all phases.
Yeah, Isaac Shelby's really got that Clarksville team really playing at a high level.
Friendship Christian also 3-0, 42-21 winners over Columbia Academy. This one was close for a while, but the Commanders pulled away in the second half and keep their unbeaten streak alive.
Actually trailed 14-0 in this game before Friendship was able to get Tyson Walcott going. And just seeing some of the photos from the game, he was definitely amped up a little bit for this one.
Well, I mean, they got pushed. They got pushed in this game, and they were able to push back. And that was, I think, a big thing for the Commanders is, they've been tested. I tell you what, right now, they have to be in consideration as the top team in that region.
Yeah, I think a reason why he was amped up is, I don't know if you guys knew this or not, Columbia Academy had I believe the number 4 leading rusher in the state, and of course Tyson is the leading rusher in the state. Yeah. So another opportunity for Tyson Walcott to prove himself to everybody.
He won our Player of the Week honors last week, so he kind of followed that up a little bit as well. Yeah. Columbia 44 Hunters Lane 7, the Warriors. Yeah, as we said, they're going to travel to Hendersonville next week instead of hosting them. They're now 1-2 after that loss. Columbia is 2-1. CPA all over Pope Prep 49-20. Lions bounce back in a big way following that loss last week to Procone. Pope Prep still struggling. They're 0-3 now and 0-1 in region play. They'll travel to Webb School next week to try to get into the win column.
Pope got a couple of late scores, but CPA just dominant from the beginning here. Great bounce back win for them. Big game against NBA next week against a really good Big Red defense.
Davidson Academy had some trouble in Portland in the first half, but the Bears ultimately pull away 35-14 to also get to 3-0, while Portland falls to 1-2.
I believe it was 14-7 Davidson Academy at the half. Portland with some self-inflicted errors in the second half. They kept it close, but Davidson Academy just keeps on rolling.
Yeah, Knox Roberts he had another great game for Davidson Academy.
Dixon County now 2-1 after a 37-6 win over Northeast and a great region opener for the Cougars, who send the Eagles to 0-3.
They're in a really good region to make some noise, man. 2-1. I can't remember the last time we were saying that about Dixon County.
Yep. Page bounces back after the loss last week, 35-17 over Franklin. This one also close for a while, but the Patriots kind of pull away in the second half and improved to 2-1.
Yeah, it really looked like for a while that Franklin was going to get that elusive win, and that Page struggling. But Ethan Cunningham, another big night, grounding it out, and Page gets back gets back in the win column.
I believe Franklin led 17-7 in this one. So
Franklin will try to get off the schneid next week against Independence. Page is going to be at home against Laverne. Middle Tennessee Christian, no trouble with Grace Christian, 42-13 winners for the Cougars. They're now 3-0 heading into a matchup with Clarksville Academy next week, with Grace Christian now 1-1 as their game last week never got off the ground. They'll have Friendship Christian at home next week. Gordonsville wins at Trousdale County 14-0. Cam, it's a long time since Gordonsville won on the Creek Bank, right?
Correct. 1987 was the last win for Gordonsville at Trousdale County, and they did so with 2 monster drives. They scored on a 99-yard drive in the second quarter to take a 7-0 lead into the half, and then they came out in the to start the fourth quarter and went 85 yards to make it 14-0. Charles County did try to answer back, drove all the way down to the 2-yard line before getting stopped on downs, and Gordonsville running out the clock to win this one 14-0. What a great game. Kind of a unsung player in 1A football is Brady Gentry, man. He's such a good receiver. When the 99-yard drive, he had 2 catches over 25 yards, and both of them he went over and what they would call in the NFL mossed the defensive back and just jumped up over him and wanted the ball more. So a good win for Gordonsville as they get ready to head into region play, and a good opportunity next week for Charleston County to try to build a little bit of momentum before they start region play.
Green Hill and Summit ended up in a shootout last night. The Hawks get it done 41-35 at Summit to improve to 3-0 before a big region matchup with Wilson Central next week.
Huge night for Cannon Burrows. 12 of 21 passing, 282 yards. He scored 5 total touchdowns last night.
Summit falls to 1-2. They've got Blackman coming in next week. Green Hill, as we said, 3-0 as they enter a region game against Wilson Central. And one of their former assistants will be coming back as the Wildcats head coach next week.
Yep.
Jackson Christian and Good Pasture went toe-to-toe last night, but it was ultimately Jackson Christian that got it done 28-20 over the Cougars of Good Pasture. Good Pasture now 2-1 with that loss. They've got FRA coming in next week, so it gets no easier for them.
Yeah, good performance, though, for Good Pasture. This Jackson Christian team's pretty good, so.
Yeah, Jalen Mosley's a baller, and he had another big night for the Eagles.
Smith County 47-28 winners over Liberty Creek. The Owls are 3-0 after 3 weeks, and they'll go to Macon County next week to try to make it 4.
Big night for Liberty Creek's offense, though, man. I mean, we were talking earlier in the week about how good Smith County's defense is, and it is, but Wolfpack put on some points. Smith County just too much last night, though, offensively.
Yeah, I believe Coach Bill Alexander, if you told him that he was going to score 28, he would have took that every day of the week. So, but still, good performance by Smith County's offense. They're 3-0, heading into a huge rivalry game next week at Macon County.
Liberty Creek 0-3. They'll try to get off that losing streak at Stratford next week. DeKalb County takes care of Livingston Academy 31-9. Then the Tigers get their first win of the year in region play as well. Big win for them as they'll travel to Watertown next week. Livingston Academy is back at home against Upperman. White House shuts out Montgomery Central 27-0. And one of those teams we haven't really talked about that much is now 3-0. And White House has been very good at home the last couple of years, and they prove it again this time.
Find a way to win.
Great
Coach
defense.
Hamilton.
Yep.
I was about to say, Cam, Coach Hamilton always has a solid defense there, and they are quietly playing really good ball.
Yep.
Speaking of defense, MUS had enough to take down NBA 14-10 and send the Big Red to 0-3.
Yeah, pretty much the story for NBA up to this point of the season. Their defense is good enough to keep them in every game, but the offense is yet to be able to produce to get them into the win column.
Yep.
NBA will travel to CPA next week to try to get their first win of the year. MUS now 3-0 as well as they'll get McCauley at home. Kirkwood also 3-0 up there in Clarksville. 27-6 winners over Northwest, and Chad Watson's bunch wins its first region game.
Big win for them in the region with this win. I believe the way that region sets up, they only have to win 2 more region games to pretty much lock in a playoff spot. So big win for Coach Watson and the Cobras.
Yeah, it's going to be if they can continue this, that Clarksville Kirkwood game is going to be really interesting.
Yep.
For those of you just joining us, you are listening to the 615 Prep Scoreboard presented by Fifth Year Technology Concepts. We are running through those scores from last night. Pearl Cone, no trouble with Creekwood, 55-8 as the Firebirds get to 3-0.
I believe it was 48-0 at halftime. I mean, when we said that their offense was getting ready to explode on some people, I mean, it started last night. Keyshawn Tarleton and Dearest Reed, Javion Kennard. I mean, it just keeps going on and on and on.
He threw. You're talking about Tarleton. He threw 4 touchdowns on 6 passes.
Jeez.
It's called efficiency, folks, and they've got it. Firebirds are going to be loving life as they get back to that new turf next week. They've got Pier Academy coming in at home. Creekwood falls to 0-3. They're hitting the road to go to Montgomery Central as region play continues there in Region 5 of Class 4A.
Yeah, so you heard that. Be sure to bring your remotes to Firebird Stadium because it's going to look like they're in fast forward out there.
Providence Christian gets its first win in TSSAA action, 35-7 at Mount Juliet Christian. As the Lions now 1-2, they will travel to DCA next week. Mount Juliet Christian goes to Red Rolling Springs after suffering its first loss of 2023.
Big time congrats to Providence, first win.
No apologies from Scott this week to MJCA.
Nope, none needed. Ravenwood 35, Blackman 28. And Ravenwood gets it done at Blackman 35-28. Raptors have now won back-to-back games after losing in week 1. And Blackman now falls, I believe, to 0-3, actually, instead of 0-1.
Ravenwood got a late stop, but hey, I mean, this is a good showing for Blackman. That offense that's kind of struggled the first couple of weeks, putting up 28. They're steadily getting better. They've just played a brutal schedule to start the year.
Yeah, yep. Ravenwood, Stewart's Creek, and Brentwood. So combined record 8-1 out of those 3 teams. So
they will try to get into the win column next week at Summit. Ravenwood hits the road against Smyrna. Speaking of the Bulldogs, they're now 0-3 after a 35-14 loss to Siegel. The Stars have been shining brightly the first couple of weeks, and they keep it rolling to go to 3-0 with a win there.
It's been a while since Siegel's experienced this well of a start, and they are on a roll right now. Thomas Santel's having a great year. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they make it 4-0 next week against Coffee County.
All right, time to see some more highlights. Let's go to our Spotlight Series game of the week. It's Mount Juliet at Gallatin up there at the Wave Yard. Early on, it's Tyler Travers with a 15-yard touchdown run to put the Golden Bears up 7-0. Zakian Brinkley. Watch the footwork here. Big run here to set up what would be his first touchdown of the night. Wound up being a 5-yarder just moments later. Here is that run by Brinkley, who had a big night for the Green Wave. They tied the game up at 7 early in the second quarter. But Mount Juliet answers back. It's John Michael Crudup from a yard out to get the Golden Bears a 14-7 lead. And Mount Juliet actually would extend that lead in the second quarter. Also through the run game. Here's Harrison Edwards cutting through the Green Wave defense. And they actually faked the extra point to go up 22-7 before halftime. Crudup again earns this TD from 4 yards out, powering his way through the end zone to give Mount Juliet a 29-7 lead in the third quarter. But Gallatin didn't quit in this one. 4th and goal here, and it's Brinkley again powering his way into the end zone from 3 yards out, 29-13 after the Green Wave missed the 2-point conversion. Golden Bears added a short field goal, led 32-13 early in the 4th. Gallatin responded, going 80 yards in 25 seconds. This is Jeremiah Williams from 8 yards out. Brinkley had a 72-yard run the prior play to set that one up. 5:11 to go. Jackson Strout finds Marshall Hanson, a 5-yard touchdown for the Green Wave. It's 32-26, and the Green Wave still have time. They get to 4th down. Tyler Travers tries to go for the first down, and fumble. Gallatin falls on it, and they've got 55 seconds to come back. But 4 incompletions later, they don't get anything out of it. And Mount Juliet comes away with a 32-26 win.
Hard-fought game for you guys. A lot of penalties, a couple that took some scores off the board, especially one for you. What did tonight say about this team's resilience to bounce back from adversity?
You talking about Gallatin bouncing back?
No, you guys.
Us. I honestly think Coach C told us going into this game it was going to be a dogfight the whole game. Like what happened last year. We came into the game, got up at halftime. Same thing happened. They brought it out like they did again at this halftime. But I just think it's just the way we grind in practice. We never stop. We always finish the play. So I think today, when it was hard, we thought of what Coach T told us, and we finished the plays. And we finished the game right, yes, sir.
You know, as big as this rivalry has been over the years, it's even bigger that it's a region game. So as a jumping off point, how big is this to get a win coming in here and winning like that?
This is so good because, you know, this is our first region game. So this is going to boost our chance of winning the region champs. And I think we got it. And Coach T has preached all week that this is a bigger rival than Green Hill and Lebanon, and we took it that way.
You guys have faced 3 pretty different teams in 3 weeks. What have you guys learned about yourselves over 3 weeks that you can take going forward?
Let's see. Honestly, I think finishing games, because we use, like the Cambridge games, we got momentum, and then it always just drops down for some reason. But, yeah, I think so.
All right. Congratulations.
Sir, thank you.
I guess you guys had to learn how to overcome some adversity tonight. You had TDs taken off the board. You had a Gallatin offense that didn't quit coming at you guys. You know, through 3 weeks, is this the kind of game that lifts you guys to another level?
Hope. I told them right after the game, and in not really joking manner, that I got to start working out if we're going to have games like this, because I'm about to have a heart attack. But, yeah, I mean, I know the word resiliency kind of sounds cliche, but we had a little bit of that tonight. I don't know how many penalties we had. I mean, obviously we'll look at the film and see how we can get better at that. But we kept having that next play mentality. Come back, play the next play, play the next series. I felt like from week 1 to week 3, what we did better was we came out in the beginning of the second half, first 4 minutes. You heard Josh Heupel talk about 4-minute football, right? And I felt like we did that well. We just didn't close out great late, but I was proud of our defense for coming out there and doing it when it mattered the most.
You see a player like Zakai and Brentwood that comes at your defense with size and speed like that. What makes you go? What goes through your mind?
I don't see him anymore. I saw him after the game. I said if I had a vote for the All-Star team, he'd be on it. He is a heck of a player. I mean, obviously, last year here he had a big game, and I feel like, speed is deceptive with that dude, and he showed a little bit of that tonight too, and got to kind of tip your hat to both teams with their level of conditioning. I mean, it's still muggy out here tonight. I bet we've got 175 clips of film to look at, and not a lot of cramping. We had a couple injuries, unfortunately, but not a lot of cramping, and that's a testament to both teams.
The way your guys' running game was going, I mean, even though you had a couple call back, I guess it's a pretty good sign for you moving forward, isn't it?
Well, balance is important. And I always talk about balance 2 different ways. You got run pass balance, but inside and perimeter balance. And I felt like we got some of that tonight. Harrison Edwards was big. John Michael obviously was big. I told the other guy earlier, I mean, these guys are almost old juniors now because of the work that they got in as sophomores, and that's starting to pay off.
Now, the ability to close out a close game like this, you had to do it against Cambridge, and now back here. Now, is that a sign that this team's maturing even more?
Sure, and I mean, we got a couple guys banged up. I feel like we'll get back in the next couple weeks. Some promising news on that. In 6A, I mean, any upper class, you have got to have dudes that can come in and spell people, because the way the offense has changed now with the tempo and stuff like that, we're running off way more plays than we did 100 years ago when I played. So you've got to have those guys, and and we're going to find them tonight. We're going to go back to Praxville and find them on Sunday and Monday.
Sounds good, Coach. Appreciate the time. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Mount Juliet is going to be one of those teams that we need to keep an eye on. They're 3-0 now. They're 1-0 region play. They've been pretty good over the first 3 weeks, but then they had honestly acknowledging that they've got some things they've still got to clean up, though.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the week 1 game and week 3 game, they're pretty identical with the way, they get up big, and then the fourth quarter teams chip away, and they find a way to win, which is the big thing. I think as the weeks go on, we'll see this team put games away much earlier against teams they should beat when they get those big leads. Great win for them. Gallatin, I mean, they showed a lot of fight. They're putting up a ton of points this year. The future's only bright for them, but Mount Juliet, again, finding a way to put a W on the board.
Yeah, huge shout out to that Green Wave program, Coach Stroop over there. Through 3 weeks, he's 1-2. But if you're a Green Wave fan, I believe that you're not content with being 1-2, but you're happy with what you've seen. Offensively, they're putting up points. But the big thing is, and if you ask anybody that's been around the program for a long time, the kids aren't quitting. They're down in this game 29-7, and it would have been real easy to roll over and move on to next week, but they didn't. They fought back and almost come back and win this thing. So definitely like where that Gallatin program's headed, but huge win for Mount Juliet, and they were the favorites before this game to win the region, but I think this game solidifies that as well.
I get Ironhead Hayward, Jerome Bettis vibes off Zakai and Brinkley. He's just not a guy that you want to tackle. You're going to have to bring some friends. But how about John Michael Crudup? I mean, such a tough player on both sides of the ball. You know, no, I just can't say enough about how tough he is. So, I mean, I think we've got a lot to look forward to with both of these teams.
Now, Juliet's on the road at Warren County next week, while Gallatin also hits the trail out to Dixon to face Dixon County. Stewart's Creek also 3-0, 28-14 winners at Hillsboro, and the Redhawks, have been impressive through 3 weeks, guys.
Yeah, a guy that nobody's seen coming, Kenny Jordan, is the real deal for Stewart's Creek. 2 touchdowns in this one. Hillsboro put up a lot of points the first 2 weeks, ran into a tougher competition this week with Stewart's Creek, and Stewart's Creek 3-0 heading into a huge game next week with Rockville.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about offense in this game, but shout out to the Redhawks defense here. That was a Hillsboro team that has been, like as Cam said, putting a ton of points on the board, and they showed up and for the most part held the Burros in check.
Hillsboro's next opponent will be at Cane Ridge, while Stewart's Creek, as Cam said, is going to be at home next week against Rockville. Clarksville Academy in the win column for Stedman Bell's first win as a coach, 27-14 over Sycamore, as the Cougars now improve it to 1-2. They got Middle Tennessee Christian next week, while Sycamore falls to 0-3, and it gets no easier as East Robertson pays a visit. Ensworth 3-0, no problems with Treservant, 55-0 for the Tigers as they roll at home. They've got Knoxville Catholic at home next week. Treservant out to Memphis Business, still trying to find their first win of the year. Rockville going to be on a little bit of a burner. They're coming into next week, 28-20 loss against Tullahoma. They fall to 1-2 as they travel to Stewart's Creek next week. Tullahoma now 2-1. Got one more set of highlights to show you from our friends at the Upper Cumberland Reporter. They were over in Lafayette last night for the Upper Mid-Macon County game. Early on, Ethan Falk is stopped on 4th and goal from the 1 as the Tigers defense comes up big there. But Upperman's defense did the job there. Cam Bush stopping Gabe Borders on 3rd down to get a stop for the Bees defense. Falk is nearly carried into the end zone by his lineman right here. Sets up a 1st and goal. And then the Bees will cash in here shortly thereafter as it's Jackson Rollins who's going to take the jet sweep into the end zone for a touchdown. 7-zip Upperman in the second quarter. Still second quarter, Bronston Chafin finding Cam Bush as Upperman extends that lead. It's 14-0, and they're trying to silence that crowd in Lafayette for sure. Tigers didn't go away, though. In the third, Mr. Football Finals from last year, Gabe Borders takes the handoff and goes 36 yards to the house to put the Tigers in the end zone and on the board for the first time of the night. It's 14-7 there. And Macon's defense gets a stop here against Upperman on 4th down to give the ball back to the Tigers. That sideline going off. But Upperman's defense again. Clayton Harris, the big hit that forces a 4th down. The Tigers don't convert. Upperman runs the clock out and wins 14-7. And big thanks to Rusty Ellis of the Upper Cumberland Reporter for helping out with those highlights last night. And a big region win for Upperman. Macon County didn't quite get it done there against Upperman at home.
Yeah, they were able to bottle up Borders outside of that one big, long touchdown run. One thing that we've seen so far to this season with Borders is when he can get to the 2nd and 3rd levels, he is a highlight reel waiting to happen. But if you can keep him from getting through the line, he tends to struggle just a little bit. But not a bad loss here for Macon County. I mean, this more than likely could wind up being the region championship game, which is a downfall. It hurts a little bit more, but huge chance to bounce back next week against an undefeated Smith County team.
Yep.
Well, a little different take from what Macon County had been doing, where they'd been spreading the ball to some other backs in their backfield. This one was almost exclusively Borders in this game, and he had the majority of the carries. Of course, it paid off with the 1 touchdown. So really interesting to see what Upperman's defense forced Macon County into, making adjustments and things of that nature.
Yep, Upperman's going to travel to Livingston Academy next week when try to improve to 4-0. Macon County, as Camp said, they get Smith County at home and hopefully to bounce back and against a rival and a team that beat them late last season. Lebanon's 2-1, 35-13 winners over Warren County in their region opener at home, and the good win for the Blue Devils to start off region play. They're at Cookeville next week, while Warren County will travel or will be at home against Mount Juliet. FRA no trouble with Webb School, 51-21 in their region opener over the Feet. Also, my favorite nickname in the state.
Has to be.
Panthers now 3-0, and Scott's nodding his head yes, so he agrees for sure. Yeah, no trouble for FRA. 51-21 over Webb School. They're 3-0 and at Good Pasture next week. Webb School now 0-3. Pope Prep travels out to Hellbuckle in week number 4. Rossview gets its first win of the year, 10-0 over West Creek in a battle of previously winless teams. The Hawks now 1-2. They're at Clarksville Northwest next week. West Creek is at home against Kenwood. Westmoreland bounces back and improves to 2-1, 35-14 winners over White House Heritage. As the Eagles will travel to Jackson County next week, the Patriots are at home against Cheatham County after suffering their first loss of the year.
Yeah, Westmoreland jumped up 21-0 in this one and really just rolled from there. Defensively, just a great performance for the Eagles.
Agreed. I think this was a tremendous win for Westmoreland. I think they needed a game like this, that they were able to go out and put a number of points on the board, which had been something they'd been struggling with. So
Greenbrier shuts out Whites Creek 21-0. The records are off again there. It's the first win of the year for Greenbrier. Whites Creek now 1-1. That's their first loss of the season, as their game against Livingston Academy last week didn't get finished because of a light delay. So Whites Creek falls to 1-1. They are traveling to White House next week, while Greenbrier will be at home against Marshall County. Wilson Central 3-0 under Ben Kuhn for his first season at the helm of the Wildcat program. 28-14 winners at Laverne. Laverne, after winning week 1, has lost the last 2 games, and they're having to go to Page next week, while Wilson Central is off to Green Hill.
that's going to be a tremendous game next week, I think.
Check some of those scores from teams that went outside the area. DCA 48-12 winners over the Tennessee Heat. Eagleville drops its first game of the year, 45-20 to Moore County. East Robertson 20-7 winners at Monterey in their region opener. Fairview wins at Stewart County 38-0, while Harpeth suffers a 47-13 loss at Loretto.
Yeah, looking a little bit more like that Fairview team we expected to see this week. Also, East Robertson goes on the road to Monterey, a team that a lot of people have overlooked, graduating their all-time rushing leader at Monterey High School. Indians led 7-0 at halftime, wound up winning 20-7, but not as a dominating performance as I expected from the Indians.
More out of area scores. Joe Burns falls 35-8 at Whitwell. Lipscomb Academy gets it done 42-20 at Briarcrest Christian for the Mustangs' first win for Kevin Mawai. Oakland goes out to Haywood and wins 42-20.
48-6 was the Oakland score.
Oops, this is why you don't do the scoreboard at 1 a.m. 48-6 Oakland over Haywood. 46-0 Red Bowling Springs over Pickett County. And 46-0 loss for Republic at Howard.
And there's a team named the Hustlin' Tigers.
Okay, that might be my favorite nickname in the state. The Feet are probably second or 1-1A possibly. 50-14 loss for Springfield at Henry County, and Marshall County defeats Station Camp 20-11 to wrap up our scores for week 3.
That's going to be interesting because those two teams, Springfield and Station Camp, meet next week, and it's really going to be interesting to see, is Springfield just as young and rebuilding, or is Henry County just that good as they won last week? And so I think that next week's Station Camp Springfield game is going to tell a lot about both these programs.
Yeah. Station Camp's got to be kicking their own foot, so to speak, as They were up 11-0 in this game, wound up losing 20-11. So tough losses back-to-back weeks for Station Camp. They will look to get off the snide next week against Springfield.
Yep. Fellas, that's all the damage we can do for Scoreboard Saturday morning. Final thoughts before we check out.
Yeah. Joe and I had this discussion last night. What is it about knee pads that keep people that is so prohibitive? The first two plays of the Hendersonville Brentwood game last night, they sent no less than 6 people off for knee pads. I mean, I don't know what magic is within those foam protections on your knees, but maybe they need to put it in like bulletproof vests and stuff, because it seemed a little bit excessive to me. I mean, it was just, immediately a kid would step on the field, they'd send him right back. And the replacement come in, send him back.
Send starting quarterbacks off the field for it. And the pads are on the knees, like they're just slightly above. And it's like, come on, guys, we're not here to see you. We're here to see these kids play ball.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't see any of that. We didn't see very little of that last night at Gallatin. But first 2 or 3 weeks, they have been sending a lot of players off for knee pad issues. Yeah. So
hear me out. They don't do a whole lot.
No, they do not.
I mean, I'm not blaming the officials here, because the officials are given a mandate of what they're supposed to call. But I'm trying to understand the reasoning behind it being such an enforced issue or an emphasis issue that they have to, I mean, don't get me wrong, but here comes the old geezer me. Back in my day, we got more flags for assisting the runner, which we see more of now. We've saw highlights on than we ever did for knee pads. But then again, we played in wooden shoes.
Yeah, my last thing for this week would be, I feel like we're starting to figure some things out. Through the first 2 weeks, we thought we figured some stuff out in week 1, and week 2 it was like, no, good try, but not really. This week there's not as many surprises on that scoreboard, I believe. So we're definitely headed in the right direction to hopefully toning this thing in, especially pick wise for me. But we're headed towards the right direction. And guys, it is Saturday, September the 2nd, and we have college football.
Yep.
I had college football last week, but enjoy it.
Notre Dame don't count.
I was gonna say, I mean, I appreciate you, Cam, hyping up the Kentucky Ball State game, but it'll be all right.
Week 0 doesn't really do it. No.
It would do it if your team was playing. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
No, as the shirt says, we're all Vol World Order this week.
Yep.
They're taking over college football starting today at 11.
It's good to
taking over Nashville as well. So
enjoy college football Saturday, guys.
Yep.
And picks wise, we did all right last night. Not bad. Not a bad bounce back from a week 2 that forced us to apologize to some people. And
we'll still have some apologies, but
apologies will be coming.
I've already been
people
informed.
like the apologies. People like the apologies, but a few too many are begging for them. And I'm here to tell you right now, if you beg for an apology, you're damn sure not getting it. So that's my stance.
Chris and I are the heels here, man. I got that I wasn't apologetic enough. I was like, I apologize to you guys, and you guys won. So
I thought your apology was spot on.
My apology got accepted, so I'm okay.
Oh, mine got accepted too. I got to give the Brentwood kids they're great kids. They were telling us how much they like that segment, and I think we keep it going forward because we're going to have some mess ups this year, and we sure did last week. Just don't beg for it. Don't beg for it. We'll apologize. Trust me, we're good.
Beneath you.
Yeah, it's off-putting. It's off-putting, but I don't care to be the heel about it.
I don't mind the players. I don't mind the players as much as I do some of the other people that are demanding apologies.
I would
rather. If you're going to demand an apology, make sure you take care of business.
Bingo.
Exactly. So that's all I got to say about that.
On the
All right.
on the other hand, Reggie's got a fan club, so
He does.
For those that don't know, because Reggie's a cat. Reggie's a cat. I think some people really think Reggie's a person. Reggie is a cat.
He's not
And-
Lee Corso with a cat suit on.
And
No,
he makes some interesting picks, and he's been spot on a couple times. He's a cat, guys.
He's got two of the best Toji souls of the show's history. So
Yeah,
Oh,
easily, no doubt. And one of
easily.
them happened just last week. So no,
yeah, we're gonna have to get him some merch.
There we go. We rock
Yeah.
with Reggie because Reggie rocks with us. That
That's
needs
right.
to be on a shirt.
There,
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
that's right.
So,
All right. For those
I
of you
don't
who are
know.
watching, thanks for sticking around with us. College football kicks off in just a little while, so let's get you to that. And make sure you stick around next week for the Mid-State 48 on Wednesday at 7 p.m. on all our social channels. I know Twitter had some issues this morning. We'll see if we can get those figured out. If not, we may find another way to let you watch as well. So thanks for that. We got more content coming later today and tomorrow. But for Joe, for Cam, for Scott, I'm Chris. You've been watching the 615 Prep Scoreboard, powered by Fifth Gear Technology Concepts, and we will see you on Wednesday. Have a good weekend, everybody.